Now, it's a flagship programme at the heart of the government's welfare reforms, but it's also been extremely controversial. And this morning, the Universal Credit Scheme came under fresh criticism from the National Audit Office. The watchdog said it found evidence of weak management and poor governance. The Work and Pensions Secretary, Ian Duncan-Smith, had to come to the Commons to answer an urgent question from Labour on the issue. Well, with me now is Brian Wernham, a fellow of the Association for Project Management and author of Agile Project Management for Government. Thank you very much. It doesn't appear as if the project management here has been particularly agile. Are you surprised by these findings?
Well, the Department for Work and Pensions started out to produce a system that's intensely complicated. And they've spent 3 years designing, developing, but leaving the testing towards the last moments before it went live. So therefore, I would say this is a big bang project, a classic waterfall project, if you like, where they spent a lot of time designing, building, testing, but without the piloting and phasing in that you'd expect from an agile project. Lots of other government departments and agencies have produced good results using agile government approach. What the Department for Work and Pensions have done is a big bang project, and it looks as though there's going to have to be quite a lot of rework.
Now, you said there not enough piloting, so is that the main reason for things going wrong in your opinion, or should there have been greater testing of the computer software even before getting to the piloting stage? Absolutely.
If you look at an example of good practice, let's say DVLA. So when you get a tax disc for your car, you just log on to the system, get your credit card, and it checks the insurance online, carries out a few anti-fraud checks, and then a few days later a tax disc pops through the post. That's a nice example of a piece of agile technology that's been piloted and carried out and incrementally put live, pretty much without too much hoo-ha or ballyhoo. They've just done the software, put it live, and put in links to police number recognition systems, for example, so the police, when they're driving down the road, can check that cars have insurance. The Government Digital Service have gone live with .gov.uk. Martha Lane Fox had set that up as a new idea, and they put that live incrementally, a bit at a time. So I think it's more than just piloting. It's certainly more than waiting 3 years to see if it's going to work.
Over £30 million already written off effectively. Do you think it's going to be the cause of more money being wasted?
The NAO report makes it quite clear that the Department of Work and Pensions accounts are not ready to sign off yet. So there's £425 million that has to be accounted for yet.
So just elaborate on that for us. When you say £425 million yet to be accounted for?
Yes. Up to April of this year, £425 million has been spent on the development of the system, £125 million of which was spent with Accenture Consulting, for example. That's detailed in the report. That normally will be put onto the balance sheet as an asset. So what the accountants are now discussing is this an asset or not?
So you're saying actually it could be more than £30 million that could be written off ultimately?
We know for sure that it's £34 million that's written off to date.
And it could be more?
The report says this is something that will have to be considered before the accounts are signed off. They're usually signed off in July, and we're here now in September.
OK. And just a final thought. Obviously, there have been technology glitches, software problems with other government projects. You know, that's well catalogued. Are you surprised that it hasn't gone completely smoothly on this occasion with such a big project, a flagship project for the government?
The problem is that it was made into a big project rather than being phased in, maybe taking a few benefits at a time rather than all 6 at the same time across HMRC, DWP, local authorities with a housing benefit. It's fiendishly complicated having to calculate these monthly universal credit statements that will be sent to every claimant. If this had been phased out in a more incremental fashion, a more agile fashion, I think, and if there had been better project management capability within the department, because fully 20 pages out of those 60 in the NAO report were all about project management capacity within the department.
There were 5 project leaders in 1 year, I notice. 5
tragic incidents and difficulties, but that really shouldn't stop a big project. You should be able to have secondments and shadowing so that people can move in. I was talking to someone at Ministry of Defence earlier today, and they were tearing their hair out because they'd wanted to go to the Major Projects Academy at Oxford Said Business School so they could get their certificate to be a project sponsor on these sorts of projects. It's 1 year of training, but their bosses said that it wasn't a business case for them to do so.
OK, well, very interesting thoughts on that. Brian Wernham there from the Association for Project Management. Thank you.
Thank you, Annita.
Now it's time for the weather forecast, and here's Thomas Schaffenacker.